All right, that should be pretty good. All right. Nope, I don't want it there. That's better. Actually, I'm probably gonna. Let me think. Do I need to move it farther over? Maybe. If I'm gonna be right here, I'll probably move it down here. All right, that's better. That's a little bit better. I'm not quite tall enough, but I'll just kind of scoot over a tad. Allow this guy to do all the work. Okay, so I wanted to start off with my introduction first. I just gonna have a little paper here just for my notes and everything. Kind of important, but I think that's fine. Oh well, we'll figure it out. All right. So this title is Right Time for Questions. I'm just gonna carry over this real quick, make sure I have everything. All right, so I'm gonna start with the introduction here. Welcome to Details Matter. Today I will be discussing in this live stream the right time for questions. This really is very important, so I really hope you guys enjoy it. So grab a notebook and a pen and sit down and take notes, and I will start to begin here. Okay, I'm gonna have this right by me so I can read it. Actually, it makes it a whole lot easier. It is easier when you start doing YouTube videos to actually have notes, so very important. Um, right, so I'm gonna start with kind of telling you guys a story of kind of everyone relates to this. There's a bug right here in front of me. Kind of everyone relates to the story, and the story is when you get your first job, right? When you're being trained, you're obviously going to ask questions. You're obviously going to need to ask questions. So the very first part of this is when you get to this point, there's a right time to ask questions and there's a right time to listen. So if all you were doing is asking questions when they were trying to train you, you obviously wouldn't get anything done. Let me kind of look at this. So I'm going to kind of give you guys an example of this. When I was at my first job getting trained, I kind of sent a person my age to go and train me. And we went back and we started training, and he showed me the basics but didn't explain in depth. Now, here's a mistake I made. The mistake I made was not asking any questions. And here's the problem is I didn't do that, and now that I look back on it, I realized I wish I would have asked questions when I did that. Because when I was working, I started to realize I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do all these things. I don't know how to stock the shelves. So when they said, all right, just get started, I was like, okay. I started grabbing items and throwing them on shelves and trying to figure out, I don't know where it goes. Just kind of put it as close to this one as I can, right? And so if I had gone back and started to ask questions and say, hey, you said to do this, why is that? Just out of curiosity, right? But the title of this video is There's a Time to Ask Questions. And I kind of want to get into this and kind of help you guys understand what that right time is. What time is best to ask questions. Mostly because I started realizing at my other job how important a good question actually is. Are you wasting someone's time or are you actually needing help? So, all right, so here's the first piece. There's always a right time and there's always a wrong time for questions. If you are focusing on, well, a few things, okay? Every single thing has to be thought about, I guess I would say. I'll put it that way. If you don't think about stuff like this, you're going to cause other people inconvenience. So the first piece, look at it like this. Is this a right time to ask a question? For instance, when I went to work the other day, I work at a restaurant, and so when I went in, I didn't go into work. I went in to eat. to sit down and eat. It was my day off. And so when I went in to eat, I went and talked to my boss and I realized that he was busy. If I realized he was busy and I decided to ask him a bunch of questions, hey, how's your day? Hey, what did you do last night? Or something like that. Like ask him a bunch of questions while he's busy cooking. That would make him a little more frustrated with me, especially being that I'm his employee. You have to kind of observe and notice, okay, this is a good time for a question. This is the bad time for a question. I started noticing, okay, he's getting busy. If I start asking him a bunch of questions, that's gonna kind of make him mad. That's understandable too, right? Because when someone else is busy and you come in with a bunch of questions, when especially in a restaurant, when they've got all these orders in their mind, right? Every single order's in their mind, and you come in and ask them, hey, how was your day today? They're trying their hardest to focus on every single bit of the orders, every single step. And so the time they have to stop and think, okay, this person's asked me a question, let me answer their question and get back on track, right? So they shouldn't ever be put in that position. So there's obviously always a right time to ask questions, and the right time is always when you need to learn something. When you have to learn something, can you figure it out on your own? Oftentimes I see people coming in, coworkers coming in to work and saying, hey, where is this? It's like you're literally standing right beside it. You've literally picked it up before. You do the same thing every time. You come in to wash dishes, you grab this item, you know what that is. You know exactly where that's at. Why are you asking? Why are you wasting our time, right? There's always a time for questions. So, and the one time you don't want to ask questions is when, for an example, I guess I would say you are already being an inconvenience to that person. So you're seeing that person is kind of getting frustrated with you, or they're they're already super busy, and you're trying to ask a bunch of questions. That's when you don't want to ask a bunch of questions, especially when you're being corrected. If you're being corrected, hey, don't do this next time. You need to learn. Don't do this again. This is what you did wrong. Don't start asking a bunch of questions. Well, I guess there kind of is, right? If you don't know what you did wrong and you're trying to figure out and you know it's the right time, you can go and ask questions. Hey, so how did I do this wrong? I'm not positively sure. Could you show me? I do that a lot at work. It's kind of like as a cook, when you make a recipe wrong, and I go and ask my boss, and he says, "Hey, you made this wrong." I'm like, "Okay, so what do you think you would have done here?" I'm just kind of curious, right? But you always want to be respectful to that person when you're asking the question. You don't want to be the kind of person to just kind of only interrupt and anyways, you kind of get what I'm saying, right? And then so that being said, I want to start out with what you guys can change and what I can change even. I get it, sometimes I'm being in people's way or kind of being asking too many questions. When I first started my job at my restaurant, I started to realize I was asking way too many questions and it was really frustrating the boss. I had to start realizing he would start replying with one answer, and it's kind of a funny thing. Is he would reply with "It's in my pocket," and the reason he would reply with that is it's kind of a way to show you that's a dumb question. Go figure it out on your own, which was really kind of a funny thing to say, but that makes sense, right? When someone's asking you, "Hey, where's this?" You're almost holding it. It's in my pocket. Like, look around is what he was trying to say. It's like, look around. What do you see? What do you see? And so I think this piece is really a huge piece, is because when you start learning when it's a really good time to ask questions and when it's a bad time. So here's what you guys can do to change that. Is first kind of observe the situation you're in. Okay? If you're in the same spot I was at my first job and you were being trained and they didn't cover all the basics, observe. Is now a good time to ask questions? Am I going to interrupt them? Am I going to make them angry? Do I need to ask this question? I guess what I'm trying to say is you should be trying to think in your mind, how easy would it be for me to figure this out? If it's not easy for you to figure out or you can't figure it out, you need help, then go and ask for the question. But I think for me, honestly, most of the time what I do is I stop and think, okay, how easy would this be for me to find it? look around, take maybe 10 seconds. Okay, I can't find it. Now go and ask the question. I'm going to go ask, hey, where is this at? I'm not positively sure. And then if he gets mad at me, I tried my hardest, right? You can't just not try and go ask something, especially if someone's already busy. That's kind of what I did is I focused on kind of being that person, be the person to kind of look around, think, all right, where am I at? How can I do this? Okay, and then next would be, should you try to figure it out on your own? Should you? Is it something that's I guess important enough you should be trying to figure it out on your own? If not, maybe go ask the question. If it's something that has to do with, say, someone is being really rude to you in a restaurant, one of the customers, and you're trying to figure out what should I do? Should I kick them out, or I don't know? Like, this is just an example, right? Should I kick them out, or should I talk to them kindly? At that point, when you're in that moment, there's no should I. There's always a right time for questions, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so um and so I kind of wanted to talk about why this is all important because we talked about time. Time is a huge thing. Time in itself is really, it doesn't wait. Time never waits for you. Time is always time is always needed by everybody, but it never waits. And so you have to start figuring stuff out now. Don't figure stuff out later when it's way too late. Just figure stuff out now. If it's gonna be too late and you're gonna start realizing, oh, I don't have time yet. I don't have time to put my life together. Start figuring stuff out now. I'm not saying you have to have it all together now, but start figuring stuff out at least, right? So time is one of the biggest pieces in our lives. All right, so here's why it's important is it shows when you know the time to ask questions, when you figure out this is the right time, I'm going to try not to be in someone else's way. This is why it's important is because you show respect to other people. When you decide to actually start thinking about other people, thinking, are they busy enough that I shouldn't be asking these questions? Are these people too, I guess, are they too concerned about something else for me to ask a question right now? When you start focusing on the other person instead of yourself, only what you're looking for. And if I walked in and said, "Hey, I need this right now. I need this picture or something like that," and I didn't focus on my boss, what he was doing, how busy he was. If everything's in his mind and the picture's right in front of me, and I ask him, "Hey, where's this picture?" He's obviously not going to be very happy with me. He's trying to focus on something else, and the picture's right in front of me. I could have looked and found it. So that's the point: is take time, look around. What can I see? Okay, that's what I can see. Perfect. I found it. I don't need to ask the question anymore. That's where you should be at. You should be at observe first, look around. Can I solve this by myself? If you can't, ask the question. You tried at your best inconvenience. That's the point. You tried the hardest you possibly can. And that's really what matters. All right, and so the next piece is it's an example of a great work ethic. We've been training or talking about this whole time in my live streams. We've been talking about work ethic, and that's where this part comes in. The right time always comes into work ethic here. So what's actually going on? Okay, that's odd. Um, Pretty sure I did that. Oh, interesting. I would like to kind of fix this. I'm not sure why it's not. Okay, interesting. We'll see. Okay, that was kind of odd. It never did. It just I was waiting for it to show up. Anyway, so yes, I was just trying to fix something on there real quick. So this is a huge thing on your work ethic. You really want to focus on this. It's a huge step towards your work ethic. I mean, people see your work ethic. All right, when you start caring about, am I in someone's way? Am I respecting other people? Is now a good time to ask this question? People are really caring at that point. So it's all about time. It's all about convenience for other people. But yes, there's obviously time to start thinking about yourself. If you focus too much on how are other people going to react if I ask this question, you will never ultimately be able to figure it out on your own. That's where you have a problem. You need to start thinking about both pieces. Think about someone else. How can I respect someone else while asking this question? Am I going to be in their way? Am I going to be a pain to them? Are they going to get frustrated at me? Or are you going to figure it out on your own? So we've had a few people. They've come in, a few coworkers that have come in and said, "Hey, for instance, I'll give you the exact story. Someone came in and said, "Hey, where's this towel?" And what's funny about this guy is the same dishwasher we have on Sunday nights. He knows exactly where the towels are at. He uses the towels every single Sunday for drying all the dishes and everything, right? And he still came in and asked us where it is. That would be an example of a question at the wrong time, or he didn't think it through first. When you take this simple step, it's simple. All you have to do is stop for a couple seconds, think, do I know where it's at? Can I solve this? And if you can't, then the question needs to be asked. But if you obviously can solve it, I've done that before. I've started looking around. I would go to ask a question and stop and say, that's a dumb question. I can do it on my own. I did it perfectly fine. That's all you need. Just think for a few seconds. Before you ask a question, before you cause inconvenience to someone else, what can I do better? Perfect. This is what I can do better. Let's do it. Don't wait. Don't wait. Maybe I'll do it later then. Now that I figured it out, don't do it later. That was one of my biggest problems when I was a cook. And I have a problem actually when I'm trying to memorize something, when I'm trying to learn something, I have a problem actually learning it fast. For me, it's when I learn it, I can learn it for a long time, but I don't have it right there, right down, stuck in my mind fast. I had to take a long time to memorize it. And that was kind of the issue for me. When I was first starting, I was asking a lot of questions, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. Because when I was talking to him, when he first showed me, he took the whole day. We were closed that day. I came in to help, and he just showed me every single bit. This is how to wash dishes the most efficiently. This is how to wash them as fast as you can. This is the direction you turn the kitchen. Every single piece he taught me. And so there are some pieces he would miss every once in a while. That happens to everyone. But then I asked questions. Hey, I'm just curious. I've been washing the dishes like this. Do you have a way to do it faster? You show, oh yeah. Here, step aside real quick. You show me. That's how you do it. Perfect. Everything's done. And then I took that. Oh, okay. That is faster. I started doing it his way, and I would ask him, hey, do you have an easier way to do this? You'd show me. Perfect. That's how. There's always a right time to ask questions. So when I was here asking questions to him while he was training me, hey, when he would show me something I didn't understand, I would immediately ask a question. I wouldn't want to put it off till later and then ask the question later, because later isn't going to help me. It's now that's going to help me. If I ask the question now, I'm going to understand it fully. But later, I'm probably going to forget or something like that, right? And so there's always the right time. I'm really, really grateful that I guess this has all come down to everything I've learned from my job has all come down to even the smallest piece. And every piece looks small. This piece of managing your time, managing your questions well, is a huge piece to working. As it doesn't seem like a huge piece, but it really is. It's one of the biggest pieces. Is when you can respect everyone else, that's the moment you can have a good work ethic. And most of all, the people who see it the most are coworkers and the boss. The customers don't see it as much because you're probably not around them as much. But when you show respect to people in the kitchen, especially your boss, that's when you start to change everything. That's the main piece that I've been learning as I've been in the whole thing is I've been showing my boss that I trust him and he's told me he trusts me. This is one of the biggest things is when your boss tells you he trusts you with his eyes closed. When he leaves the restaurant, leaves you alone in the building to manage everything, manage the orders, every order that comes in, you're the one in charge of everything. That is a huge piece. And the reason why that happened is because I built up his respect. How is that? Because I showed up on time. I did what I was told. I didn't complain. Every single piece plays into this. I stayed positive. I asked questions at the right time. I made sure that I was being respectful to him. Every single piece plays into this. So when he comes back into the restaurant after I've been there and sees, yep, every order's done perfectly fine. There's not a single order that wasn't done. Everything's done. Perfect. You're good to go. That builds up even more trust for him. If one time I see a tip left out on the table and I take $1 from the tip, I guarantee you he's going to notice. And if he doesn't notice, someone else will. A customer, a camera, all of them will notice. And so that is what destroys trust. It doesn't matter if it's $1. That will destroy trust. If you have it built up this high, your boss says, I trust you with my eyes closed. You have your trust this high, and you steal $1 from a tip. Your trust goes down here. Nothing else you can trust. If they know you'll steal $1, how do they know you won't steal 5,000? Right? Not actually, but that's an example. So that's why he said that, is because every single time I had the opportunity to steal something, I didn't steal anything. Because, not only because I wanted to help build up trust, but also because I really cared about the business. If I stole something, that would kind of be me saying, I don't care about the business, I don't care, right? And so when I come in to work, I show him my appreciation for the business first by actually doing my work properly. When I show up, I do the job properly, I do it fast, I do it efficient, there would be no reason for him to complain about me as a worker. When he realizes, oh my gosh, he's showing up late, he's constantly asking me questions that he can figure out on his own, he's always forgetting things, you're gonna obviously lose trust at that point. And so, yeah, this is a huge piece, obviously, and managing time is one of the biggest pieces of having a job. So, what's next after managing your time correctly? Oh, I feel like I've kind of mentioned a little bit on showing up early to your work, and this is one of the biggest pieces as well. So, I say one of the biggest pieces. Everything is one of the biggest pieces. Everything falls together. There isn't any one big piece. Every piece is a big piece to the business. Let me see where we're at here. 23. Perfect. This should be pretty good. So, I do want to kind of focus on, so this live stream, I've talked about time management, and I think next live stream, I'm going to talk about being observant. I'm going to try not talk too much about it right now. I'm already tempted to start telling you guys stuff, but I'm going to wait till next live stream so I actually have some stuff to talk about. But as of right now, managing time, we can even go back a little bit into the past and go back onto the part of staying positive, because staying positive is the biggest piece. There's staying positive, showing up on time, and then there's managing your time. If you're going to put it in a list, that would be kind of the point. And so staying positive is the first piece. All right, I'm going to act right now as if I am at a different job. A new job I kind of hate, okay? If I'm here, if I'm working, okay, just sweeping, mopping, whatever I'm doing, right? I hate my job, whatever. How can I think of a way to be positive? Okay, so here's maybe one thing you could do is maybe if you have the option, listen to music. Put an earbud in your ear, okay? So that's something I would do because I like listening to music. All right, so if I'm sleeping or mopping or doing whatever the heck I'm doing, right? I'm going to probably be listening to music. Say I'm at the place where I was working, they didn't allow music at a store because they wanted to make sure if customers came to you, you could hear every single word that they were saying. So I would have these earbuds, but these earbuds were special earbuds where they would hover over your ear here, and they would allow you to hear any sound from outside. So listen to both the music and hear other customers. So I would wear one of those earbuds in my ear so I could listen to music and talk to people just fine. It was perfect, right? And so maybe if you don't have access to that, one of the best ways to do this, and it can take some time, but you got to really focus on, the only reason I do this is because I have someone else at work who has kind of helped me do it. So is focus on talking to customers a lot. You want to talk to customers, make jokes. Sometimes when you're busy, it's not the best time to make jokes, but I've always been doing that. So Anyways, I'm just gonna kind of stop here. I did a little bit on positivity, mostly on managing your time correctly. And so I think what I'm going to talk about next is there's a bug running around here that I'm trying to catch, flying around. Last thing I want to kind of mention is I have a subscriber goal of 250 subscribers by the end of this month. We are already at the 18th. We are getting super close to the end of the month, and I think we're at 120, 22 or something like that. So I would really appreciate it if you guys would help me get to that 250 subscribers mark by the end of this month. We've only got a few days left, maybe a couple weeks left of this month. So I really appreciate it if you guys would help by subscribing. Also, lastly, this all plays into the last subscriber goal I have is 500 subscribers by February 2nd. And in between there, I will have at each goal, I will have a certain point. I'm going to say for my 200 subscriber goal, I told you guys I would run a 5K, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm still working on it. And then at the 300 subscriber mark, I haven't quite figured that one out, but the 500 subscribers, I will be getting a whole new live stream set up, the whole camera and computer and everything. So I really hope you guys are ready for this. Thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. I'm going to end it here, and I'll talk to you guys all later. Bye-bye.